Spirit Sports Consultants presents
For Wild Card Weekend, what a great week of football Week 18 provided for us. A lot of surprises. The Bills winning the AFC East, boy, they dominated that game despite the score. Let's take a look at the AFC matchups, which changed a bit as a result of the Bills and the Dolphins. Start off with the 4 versus 5 matchup. Thank you to the Titans for getting my Texans in. They'll be hosting the Browns, who've been dominant on defense all year, and a resurgent Joe Flacco leading the offense on that team. Dolphins at the Chiefs. These teams are not quite as good as they were early in the season, especially the Dolphins. There's some concerns there with injuries on defense. And the Steelers sneaking in thanks to the Jaguars losing and a great late season effort. Mason Rudolph's improved that offense. Of course, the defense is always good. And the Bills, we have more to say about them later on. Cleveland at Houston. Wow, kudos to my Texans for sneaking into the playoffs the way they did. Great final victory over the Colts. CJ Stroud has just been phenomenal all year. But then also the Browns. Look at what they've done since Joe Flacco has joined the team. Really, that adding that one element they were lacking. We know they were great on defense, solid running game. But with Flacco and the deep ball, he's really clicking with those receivers. This team is a threat, and we think this is the one team, along with the Bills, that might be able to challenge the Ravens in the AFC. So let's look at what the Browns bring to the table. We mentioned their top defense. We think Jim Schwartz should be a candidate for a head coaching job. He did great when he was with the Lions. Didn't get enough credit because that franchise, has had its issues. Love their run game. And then, as we just said, Flacco with the deep ball really torched the Texans in their first matchup. We think that was a little lopsided because C.J. Stroud did not play in that game. So I don't necessarily look at that as a prediction of what's going to happen here. It's totally different teams. Texans are also playing better on defense. So let's take a look at the Texans side of the ball, what they bring. Again, C.J. Stroud was in the MVP conversation until he had to sit out 2 games due to concussion, but the statistics are absolutely there. Showed poise against the Colts. And then with that pass rush, Will Anderson Jr. coming on as a rookie, really dominating there. And let's not overlook the Deshaun Watson trade factor. That helped rebuild this team. The Texans received 3 first-round picks and a couple of other picks for that for a player who's not even starting for the Browns now and has been displaced by Joe Flacco due to injury, not performance. But we think, unfortunately, as Texans fans, we're going to see this one to the Browns. We think they are on a mission. We think defense wins in the playoffs. It really does. We think the Texans are going to challenge them. It's not going to be a blowout. We like the Browns here. Now, we picked the Browns. We want to cost you something. We think Vegas is telling us something here by favoring the Browns only by 2.5. 2.5 is the equivalent of what used to be a pick 'em. So for that reason, we're looking also at the fact the Texans have the better quarterback. C.J. Stroud is better than Joe Flacco. Interception rate, best in the NFL for a rookie. Flacco's rate is 3%. Stroud's 1%. We think a turnover here and there could be the difference. We still say Browns are going to win. Let's take Texans +4 and see if the home underdog can pull a surprise. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel. And if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. Thank you. Steelers at the Bills. Steelers win into Week 18 with only a small chance of making the playoffs. And look at what Mike Tomlin and that team did. We really think they turned their season around as recently as the Seahawks game, going at Seattle to win as underdogs. Very impressive. And Buffalo, what can you say? Coming all the way from the 11th seed, about 5 weeks ago, to get the 2 and then winning at Miami. But the Steelers, we have some concerns with TJ Watt's injury. If that's the leader of the defense, if he's out for the game, that's going to bring them down a bit. We do think their offense is improving. And now let's look at Buffalo. And what can you say about Josh Allen? He had a great game against Miami, put up a lot of yardage. They got the home field edge, which could be inclement weather, but it's not going to be as effective against a Steeler team that's used to that kind of weather. And also, when we went back and looked at the Miami game, the margin of victory in that game was a punt return touchdown, 95 yards when the Dolphins' 2 defenders collided. So they didn't dominate as much as we had thought. We don't think they'll dominate this game as much as people think either. We think they'll win it 24-21. They are the better team. But looking at what Pittsburgh's done since Mason Rudolph took over, that's not a doormat. That's a good team, and we think they can cover the spread here. So let's look at the lines and plan accordingly. Looking at the odds, Vegas, oddly enough, has Buffalo favored by 10, yet the totals number is 35.5. So they don't expect many points, but yet they think Buffalo will win by more than 10. I don't think so. Best play here to us is the Steelers +11. I think that pass offense is improving with Rudolph. You got 2 really good receivers with Pickens and Deontay Johnson, and you can count on Josh Allen for a turnover or 2, so look out for that. Take the Steelers. And finally, we've got the Dolphins at the Chiefs. The Dolphins going the exact opposite direction as the Bills. Not only did they drop from the potential 1 seed a few weeks ago all the way down to the 6 and have to go to Arrowhead to face Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but also their injuries. They've got tons of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and then Jalen Waddle on the offensive side of the ball could be out. See, they had to rely too much on Tyreek Hill in last night's game. That's why Tua only put up less than 200 yards, 175. This late season slump is definitely a concern. Like we said, the Dolphins simply aren't the team they were in the first half of the season. And being in South Florida, we see a lot of the games and we've seen a lot of the interviews. They don't have the same fire, and also playing in a cold weather environment, not good for the Fins. Now let's look at the Chiefs. And does anyone remember that the Chiefs are the defending champs? Seems like they're not even discussed in the overall powers of the NFL, and that includes us. But you can't forget them. We almost wonder if they kind of coast during the regular season to get to the playoffs, then turn it up to the next level. But this year, the defense has led the way. They've been inconsistent, but we think Mahomes can come back. Mahomes and Kelsey, it's going to be enough. It's going to be should be cold, nasty weather up in Arrowhead. We think they'll win this in a close game due to the fact their offense isn't firing on all cylinders as they did last year and in previous seasons, but they should have enough to beat the Dolphins, who, as we said, aren't playing their best football at all. Let's look at how to play this. We have KC favored by 3.5. Don't like that number. The total number is 44. Weather forecast is snow. We think, therefore, our best play is 45. Plus, the Chiefs and Dolphins, neither offense is clicking. Both defenses are pretty good.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.